Can someone tell me what the hell is going on with the world of work? Okay, first, hi, I'm Hannah Geft, the creator behind Hannah Gets Hired, and this is Good Job. Part newsletter, part interview series, and 100% dedicated to helping you build a happier career. And today I am at the LinkedIn office in Mountain View, California. I am home in the Bay for a very exciting conversation with Twyla Hansen, the Chief People Officer at LinkedIn. I am pinching myself. We are here to talk about my favorite topic, work, but specifically how you can build resilience and stay competitive when it feels like the rug is being pulled out from under all of us. And Twyla is well-versed in the world of work. She's got a background in employment law. She has led talent organizations at some of the most influential institutions in the world, from the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco to AECOM, which, fun fact, I learned is the company responsible for the venue infrastructure of the last 4 Olympic Games, and now, of course, at LinkedIn. She has been a long-standing champion of diversity and inclusion and is a very vocal advocate for the employee experience, which is so very much needed. As the talent leader at a company that sits squarely in the center of the job market and future of work, I cannot think of a person with a better vantage point for this conversation. So let's get into it. Well, Twyla, I am so excited for this conversation. We have got a lot of ground to cover. You are leading 18,000 people through one of the biggest changes in the world of work. And in their Future of Work report, the World Economic Forum pointed to the survival skills for the next decade, as we can think of them, and they really pointed to resilience and agility. And I'm curious, from your perspective, when people already feel maxed out in their day-to-day, how can they build more of this resilience and agility? Like, what does that actually look like in practice?
When I think about resilience, I really think about, like breaking it down to like my experience with resilience. It's like, if I get feedback that feels a little ouchy, right? It's like, I'm not so sure if I wanted to hear that, but okay. How quickly am I pivoting, letting that go, or am I letting it live rent-free in my head for hours, right? Am I gonna wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning like sick to my stomach because I got that feedback? Right, and is it going to like chill my ability to take another risk or to put another idea out there? And if it is living rent-free in my head, and if it is, sort of chilling or preventing me to be that authentic self, to, come back again, right, like that's a resilience issue. So it's really being in that place of like, when you get that ouch type of feedback, knowing where to put it, right? Like, what's the silver lining? What did I learn? Okay, that was a little ouchy. What's the silver lining here? How do I flush it? And then move forward. With agility, I think it's about ego. Oftentimes we take our projects or we take our ideas and they become our identity. And I think the more, especially during this time, when we really don't know what the next 6 months are going to look like, next 12 months are going to look like in terms of, the work that we're going to be doing or automation, it's really important to like lead with what I like to call a soft ego, right? So bringing any idea forward, but then knowing like, hey team, kick the tires on this. This might not be the best idea, but it's the idea that I have now, and I'm open to that feedback. And leaning into a place of like iteration, getting feedback, testing, exploration, like that builds your agility muscle. So you don't get like so tied and your identity doesn't get so tied to an idea, but you're able to sprint and pivot and know where there's value.
A lot of people in today's world of work, especially right now, are leaning into these non-traditional paths. They're pivoting, they are stitching together freelance work, they're taking on side projects to build their skills. And yet, I think back to when I worked as an executive recruiter, and I think what's common in the world of recruiting and hiring is looking at these like straight line resumes as kind of the gold standard of success. I have to ask, do you think the linear career path is dead? And if so, how else can people still advance and reach that full career potential?
So I don't think that it's dead. I think that it's still there. But I would really encourage people not to sort of have that, like set that 10-year plan and just go after it. I love your career path. And I think like when you're able to think of your career as a collection of experiences. Like what I see is so exciting right now is when you have someone who's in recruiting and they're also interested in marketing and sales, and they have that, sort of wide range of experience, you could look at someone's resume and be like, oh my gosh, what can't this person do?
Yeah.
Right? Like they're able to really connect the dots and be more of a systems thinker. And when you think about automation, what's coming, you need people who are thinking more end to end and who are thinking about connecting dots that we may not naturally think exist, but they see that those dots exist.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for that generalist skill set, and I'm certainly seeing it getting picked up a little bit more in the job market. Like there's more understanding that that rounded skill set versus the specialized skill set is going to be an asset as technology and things change. Obviously, the job market is weighing heavily on everyone right now, and I do want to talk about the experience for entry-level talent. In August of 2025, the unemployment rate for new grads was 9.3%, which was more than double the average of 4.3%. And like we've talked about, a lot of this is because AI can more easily handle those entry-level tasks, and teams are quick to automate those rather than adding headcount and spending the budget. I know you have 2 kids in college, and they're likely to enter a workforce that neither of us are very familiar with. What advice are you giving them right now? And especially thinking about how to get that first opportunity.
Yeah. Just to go back a little bit on what you said about companies that may not necessarily be investing in early in career talent. I think it's an interesting place to push on and to explore.
Yeah.
Like I get there might be, some entry-level tasks or administrative tasks that you could see where technology, sort of could take care of those tasks. But there's also just the general skill set that people who are graduating have that you and I didn't have the luxury of having, right? Like being able to build through vibe coding, right? Really being native in some of these AI skills, right? Seeing the world in a completely different way. And I think companies who aren't trying to capture that mindset and capture that experience in their organizations, I think it's a little short-sighted. In regards to like career advice that I give to my 2 sons, it's about like grind and hustle. The conversations that we have at home, it's much more about like, are you being creative? Are you being empathetic? Pull out that philosophy book, like let's think about like hard problems and different perspectives. Like think globally about issues that, you're reading about in the news. Like last week I was listening to a podcast with Mustafa Suleiman. He is at Microsoft, and he was talking about like what excites him about the future. And he has access to, like understanding the power of AI more than several of us. And he spoke about, using AI to help people who live in flood zones get early alerts so that they could leave before a flood. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like things that we never thought possible. Or using AI to figure out how do you desalinate water and make it drinkable, right? And so if you really do take like a step back, from all of the AI hype and think about like what is really the power of AI and what are the jobs in the future, there are going to be several jobs and they're going to be great, and I'm kind of an optimist about that. But I do think, also more practical advice that I give my kids, because like AI FOMO is a real thing. And every day there's a new model, there's a new tool to use, and it's overwhelming, right? And so it's about like play, just get into there and play. Ask Copilot or ChatGPT, like, hey, I'm 22 years old, I'm a, English lit major. Give me a 5-day plan to practice and play with AI. I want to build my AI fluency. And it's pretty amazing what you get as a result of that. But like, just start vibe coding, start building things and seeing what the power of AI is. I don't expect my 2 boys to be AI engineers, but I do want to make sure that they understand the power of AI so they could put it into their toolkit and like dream up, amazing solutions for themselves. Yeah.
And you talked a lot about how to start thinking about learning AI and building that familiarity with it. When we think about the professional who's just trying to keep up with the day-to-day, they're already swamped under the responsibilities of a full-time job. Besides just playing around with ChatGPT, like if they're not getting the mentorship or the resources to truly build skills, what advice do you have for them?
Thinking about your day job and pushing yourself to think like, is there an opportunity for AI to help me? So I have an example of this. My very good friend from grade school is an elementary school in Oakland Public Schools. And she always is busy. She's always doesn't have enough time in the day. And so a couple of weeks ago, we were together and I said, are you using AI? And she said, I could not imagine being a teacher without it. And she's someone who's like, she's never worked in tech. I don't think she would call herself tech savvy at all. But she talked about how she now uses AI to help her build her lesson plans. Mm-hmm. If there is a kid who needs a little bit more help, she actually puts that into the lesson plan, like create a lesson plan for me, and I have like 3 kids who need a little bit more help with reading. Help me figure out how can I get through the curriculum and also save time so I could spend that one-on-one time with these kids. Mm-hmm. And she said it's been a game changer for her. There are these big ways and small ways that you could use AI, use technology, just start using it on just the simplest tasks that you think like, oh, there's no way that AI might be able to help me.
And I think it's exactly that thing, which is starting to experiment with the different parts of your job it can help with. This is obviously a moment of massive change. People feel uncomfortable. It's been very polarizing. It's anxiety-inducing. But as we've talked about, there are a lot of these glimmers of potential of the way the world might change and all the positive that could come from it. When you think about the future of work, what excites you the most about the kind of careers people will be able to build?
Yeah, I think it's so important during times of change to always anchor in what's staying the same. Because there's so much hype about what's going to change, and it could feel completely disorienting. But if you think about like, okay, what's staying the same? Often within organizations, it's like, hey, what's staying the same? Your culture staying the same. Mm-hmm. Your mission and your vision staying the same. People matter, that's staying the same, right? And like when people just hear what's staying the same, just for some reason, the shoulders go down, you're able to take a deep breath, and you're like, okay, not everything is changing. So I always just like to remind people of that during big times of change. Going into, like, I wish I had a crystal ball and I knew what the future jobs are going to look like. And I think we're beginning to see, there's some interesting jobs around like being an AI ethicist.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
one's interesting.
Right? Like that's super interesting. We're seeing already like data annotation, right? So we're beginning to see these new jobs, which I think are really exciting. I think the sky's the limit I do believe there will be enough jobs for people who want jobs. I think when we think about these like big sticky problems that we never thought it would ever be within our sights to solve, that should create excitement and enthusiasm, hopefully some creative thinking for people about like, where do I want to play? Do I want to, solve public education and making sure that every child has that opportunity to have a valuable education? When you think about the power of AI, it's like that's actually like I think within our lifetimes that we're going to be able to see. I don't know exactly what the jobs are going to be, but I think they're going to be much more fulfilling. I think they're going to be much more exciting, and it's going to be a place, and I think this is a time where you could be super creative with mapping out what you want, where you want to spend your time, and how entrepreneurial you want to be. That's what I will leave you with. I do wish I had a crystal ball, but I think this next chapter in the world of work is going to be super exciting.
Yeah, I like that version of the future of work. That's the perfect place to wrap. Thank you, Tuila, so much. This was awesome.
Hannah. Yeah.